And good morning. We got Alex Mother Bleepin' Jones and Steve Old One Eye Rodamar in the chat this morning. Good morning, gentlemen. Good to see you. Cameroon. We have the actual Cameroon on camera this morning. Poof the Magic Dragon. Now roll on. How you doing there, brother?
I'm good. So you called him one. Did you just call Steve a dick? Because you called him One Eye, and I feel like you called him a dick.
No. I would never call Steve a dick. I was making fun of his physical handicap.
All right. Starting off right.
And I love to make fun of Steve's physical handicap on occasion. Because I know Steve has lived with that his whole life. And ladies and gentlemen, please believe, from having been to the range with Steve and having taken him out to play airsoft more than a few times, that is a man you do not want on the wrong side of a rifle in your...
Yeah, it's only technically a handicap.
Yeah. But there was this one morning, let me get a cigarette out, or two. So Steve and I are driving down the road. This happened more than once. We're on the road together because we were working together on a construction job. And Steve's driving and I'm sitting in the passenger seat. And since he's driving, it's kind of a pain in the ass to light a cigarette while you're driving. So I'm putting 2 cigarettes in my mouth and flicking a lighter to light those cigarettes. And then I take them and I just hold this one up. Steve's blind in his right eye. And I just sit there and hold it. And I would get frustrated, like, dude, are you going to take the... Oh. Because I'm sitting on his right, because he's driving. Yeah, that happened more than once. We have Mr.'s Red Badger with us this morning. That's not a name I recognize. If you're one of our glorious professional counter troll alt accounts, we welcome you. If not, we especially welcome you because that makes you a new viewer. Please like, share, and subscribe. And thanks for joining us this morning. So, and I got a good morning sunshines out of Krista. Good morning, Bubbles. We love to see you in the chat this morning. So what are we talking about this morning, Cameron?
Well, we're talking mostly about Migrant Caravan, but that's going to branch out into how weak and pathetic the leadership actually is on multiple fronts. Is that, and the humanitarian crisis that now exists, but nobody wants to talk about. I wonder when AOC is going to go back to the border and cry again.
You mean like the first time when she didn't go to the border? I'm sure she can find an empty parking lot that she could put a fence up in somewhere in her own neighborhood without having to drive all the way down to Mexico.
Texas, but yeah.
Of course. Well, I mean, she was... If you're at the border, you've driven to Mexico. Maybe not into Mexico, but, I mean, she's a New Yorican. She probably just fine with the Latina blood that's right there around her. She doesn't want to go down there where all those dirty people are. But yeah, so it's Taco Tuesday, and what do we do on Taco Tuesday? Well, we taco about whatever we want to taco about. But originally, Taco Tuesday was about discussing U.S. immigration policy under the Trump administration. We were talking about the wall and the progress of the wall, and we would talk about things like one of my favorite topics was talking about the Build the Wall Fund, where America's citizenry ponied up to cover the costs of the wall that our government refused to pay with the money that it stole from us at gunpoint. That was a powerful... Not nearly enough has been made of that very powerful and important gesture by the voting populace, by the tax-paying populace. That's a big deal. But, of course, with COVID and everything, immigration just kind of fell off the topics, and we started talking about... We would just taco about whatever we wanted to taco about. But
is it officially one year in the 2-week anniversary? Is it a 1 year anniversary of the 2 weeks to slow the spread or whatever?
I think we're there. I think that was last week. Yeah, 365 days into the 15 days to slow the spread. And we're not talking about COVID much this morning. It is. We'll probably look at it again in the near future, but there has been guidance out from the CDC, a study showing that masks are not effective.
Yeah.
All that's the case. But so what got me on this topic this morning, I have to confess, my buddy Butts, who I served with, posted on Facebook, and I'm paraphrasing. I'm not going to show off his Facebook page, but I'll paraphrase. Essentially, hey, if we're sending FEMA down to the border, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, is that because the Democrat-controlled government that's choosing to deploy FEMA believes that Joe Biden's policies are a natural disaster or a man-made one? And it's a good question, because the answer to that question cannot be it is neither, and we still need to deploy FEMA. Right? If the answer to that question includes we need to deploy FEMA, then the answer must be either it is a natural disaster or it is a man-made disaster. And either
or it has
of those,
elements of both.
Or elements of both. Yes, it can be both, but it cannot be neither. So the deployment of FEMA to the border is very much a tacit admission by the administration and by the Democrats in power that the results of Joe Biden's policies, and we're not even 2 months into his presidency, we're still short about 5 days, but the results of his policies amount to a natural disaster level humanitarian crisis that requires the deployment of a Federal Emergency Management Agency. It's not unlike H.R. 8 codifying all of the, shall we say, shenanigans, is essentially a tacit confession of the suspectability of the recent choosing cycle.
Yes.
Wouldn't take the CDC advice. I've seen The Walking Dead. Yeah, Lindsay. I also stopped watching The Walking Dead for a reason.
It stopped being good, frankly. How do you have Jeffrey Dean Morgan on your show and it falls off? That just doesn't seem possible. But I digress.
He's the roughneck on the motorcycle with the crossbow, right?
No, that's Norman Reedus.
Jeffrey
Dean Morgan is Negan.
Okay, yeah, you're right. Dude, okay, so our buddy Patrick runs into these guys because of where he works from time to time. And middle of last year, I think it was, Patrick ran into Remus, Norman Reedus. And for those of you that matter, the first place you should recognize that actor from is, of course, Boondock Saints. And Patrick walked up to him to shake his hand, and Patrick says to Norman Reedus, "I can't believe this is fucking happening." Because of course, what do you say? It's like if you've just met Schwarzenegger, before you walk away, you say, "I'll be back." Anyway, is it dead?
Yeah, I'm strangely comfortable with it.
We could kill everybody.
Funny, speaking of COVID, how many of that migrant caravan and in these overcrowded facilities that have got like 500, 600, 700% capacity, how many of those people have COVID?
Because all of them.
Because I got to tell you, do you want COVID to spread everywhere? Well, that's how COVID spreads.
Because this is how you get cockroaches. I mean,
and this is how you get ants. But no, it's funny. Yeah. We could even tie it back into The Walking Dead. There was that whole prison sequence where a disease broke out in the prison, and it killed like 10% of them. Because whoops, diseases are a thing, and when you've got everybody locked in close quarters, the disease spreads. It's a strange thing. But
Yep.
we totally don't have a crisis on the border because we have Joe Biden, and Joe Biden is the savior. He's I mean, he was the black genius's vice president, so he's got to be all good.
You know, and I think Joe Biden's actually going to stick around for just a little bit, unless I was talking to some people last night and thinking about some stuff. We've speculated before that basically the Democrats are going to take Biden out as soon as they can so they can put Kamala in charge. I don't think that's going to happen now. I think he's going to be there for 2 years. And then something's going to happen. So we'll have to come back and revisit this in 2023. But
Oh, but look, man, all they got to do is just keep cutting the camera feed off. And he's like, come on, pal, come on. Hey, Nancy, am I supposed to take some questions?
well, here's the thing. If Joe Biden kicks it today, Kamala becomes the president, she gets to appoint a vice president, and that is the beginning of her first term. But if Biden can hang out till March of 2023 and then drop dead, Kamala becomes the president, appoints her vice president, and then she gets to run for re-election twice. She doesn't.
Yeah.
If she were to become the president before March of 2023, she doesn't get to run for a second 4 years after. She doesn't get to run twice.
No, I understand the math you're pointing out.
Yeah. So Joe's safe
For now.
for 2 years.
Yes. So, what's funny is it's not just that obviously Biden's direct virtue signaling about, the crisis at the border is going to be over that led to this. Because, the people heard, so, a sissy Democrat is back in office and they're going to reinstate catch and release. Baby, we're walking across Mexico. It's not just that. I think there's a larger point here about how the world sees us at the moment. What they see is, oh, well, okay, they've elected another feckless politician, and they've decided that they're just going to mail themselves checks and continue to be incredibly irresponsible. I think the biggest tell of this is the fact that China and Russia have announced that they're going to do a joint operation to put a base on the moon. And I got to tell you, they wouldn't have even dreamed of doing that while Donald Trump was president.
Nope.
But they see Joe Biden and his administration as so weak that they're not even going to try and hide it. They're doing it right out in the open. And I don't care what anybody says. Please believe one of the main reasons to put a base on the moon is to gain a military advantage. Period.
And let's be clear about something there too. It's not like Joe Biden got elected and then China and Russia decided to do this thing. No. China and Russia did not come to an agreement to do a thing unless they basically spent years negotiating that activity. So that was going on behind closed doors while Trump was in office. And Donald Trump said we need a space force. And he got a lot of criticism for that, but guys, Neil deGrasse Tyson, who is by no means a Trump supporter. Looks like we lost Cameron, or maybe he just muted. And if you just muted, don't bother to unmute yet, Cameron. Come back in a minute. Neil deGrasse Tyson, who is by no means a Trump supporter, he's the astrophysics black guy, and he's probably the most famous astrophysicist in the world because he gets to play the race card alongside his degrees. This is a global warming, climate alarmist guy, and all that. But he has been arguing with presidents since the Clinton administration, to Tyson has been going to the White House and meeting with the presidents, with Clinton, with W., with Obama, and eventually with Trump, and saying, hey, the occupation and weaponization of space is an absolute technological inevitability, and it's not some far-flung probable future. It is on us. It is happening. It is going to be a thing. And if we do not have a military presence prepared to deal with that eventuality, we will be overrun by it. Neil deGrasse Tyson has been saying that to the presidents since the mid-90s. Thank God Donald Trump had the temerity and the brass sack to say, you know what? We need some spacemans with laser rifles up there. Who cares what extent to which Trump honestly understood the tactical and strategic importance of air superiority and, that extending into space superiority. The fact of the matter is, he stood up a space force. And now we know that, and now we know, and now we know that at the time he was standing up an honest to goodness space force. If China and Russia are making a move to put a base on the moon, and they're talking about it openly now, unguardedly now, that means that they've been talking about it for several years. And if China and Russia have been talking about it, our intelligence operatives have known that, which means that Donald Trump did that with the full knowledge that China and Russia were already making significant moves in that direction.
Which in and of itself is fine. They're supposed to advance their national interests just like we're supposed to advance ours. But, let's not pretend like this is the game that's being played here. And if you're afraid of a bloody nose, maybe you don't belong in the ring in the first place. And
there are some theories about what's on the moon, about, what is it, helium-3 they're talking about?
Yes.
And basically, if there is a cheap, abundant source of energy on the moon, then whoever first takes command of the moon and control of that natural resource owns the space. Once you've got that cheap energy on the moon where you have lower gravity and almost non-existent atmosphere, suddenly launching additional space missions becomes a significantly more achievable task.
Well, and so is scouting space, because you don't have the atmosphere to contend with for your telescopes.
Yep, the next play needs to be a space elevator.
I've brained the space elevator many times. I still don't think it would work. I don't know how you even out the tension on the cable, but whatever. That's down a deep, dorky rabbit hole right there.
There's been a lot of development toward making the space elevator a thing, and most of it has to do with the development of strong monofilament, which is to say a cable where the individual strands of the cable are a single molecule, basically an unbreakable single molecule that's miles and miles long. Sergeant Major says energy cables. Energy cables are susceptible to electronic surges and other significant sabotage problems. A monofilament cable, that's, as far as we know, indestructible unless you want to put it into a super collider, which, because it's miles and miles and miles long, is a near impossibility.
But anyhow, this is all. See, chat thinks we're big.
Yeah, they're dropping nerd emojis. Oh, by the way, I added this little plug into the show a couple weeks ago, and since you guys are dropping emojis and they're popping up on the screen there, what do you think of the little float by emojis that come across the show when you drop them? It doesn't just come up in the chat window. There's actually a little emoji that floats by on the screen.
But anyhow, this is emblematic of how the world sees us. They don't respect our military prowess. They don't respect our borders. They just don't respect us. I don't think it's entirely inaccurate for the world to conclude that America's decided to go through a dumbass phase, and they're going to take advantage of it.
Yep. Seems like harnessing light is more feasible than space elevators. No. Okay, you know what? There's enough interest in this topic from the audience cracking jokes on our being nerds and offering alternative hypotheses. We need to just talk about this on another whole show. So we'll do a show about space elevators soon.
Yes. Oh, Chris, you don't have to talk that sweet to me. We're already friends, buddy.
No doubt. And okay, so I've made the joke about the natural disaster and all that, and the wife's got to leave for school in a little bit, so I need to get upstairs with the babies. So let's go ahead and start drawing this down. But as we're doing that, Cameron's got to get to work. We've only been on for about 20 minutes, so we got a little bit of time to kind of bullshit. We got a pretty good showing. Got at least a dozen of our closest friends and family watching the show right now, and somebody on Periscope. You out there watching on Periscope, I applaud your tenacity. I applaud the absolute unmitigated temerity with which you are clinging to the mast of that particular sinking ship. Salute, brother. Now, that said, Twitter owns Periscope and has announced that they are shutting it down, I think at the end of this month. So Periscope is going away. So to you one lovely viewer out there on Periscope all by yourself in the wild, I invite you to find the Brushfire Mind on YouTube, on Facebook, on Rumble, on Daily Motion, on Quest, on... Where the hell else are we, Cameron? There's one that I forgot. Daily Motion, Quest, BitChute. Go find us on MeWe. Go find us on Locals at brushfiremind.com/locals. Go find us on pocketnet.app or pocketapp.net. We're all over the damn place. Go find us in one of those locations before the Periscope goes down on you. And stick with us going forward after Periscope goes away. Frankly, I'm going to hate to see Periscope go just because it's one more outlet that I can abuse, but it is going away. And now, that said, big news in the pipe. Rumble is in beta testing. I don't have access to it yet. I did send them a message yesterday, but Rumble is now beta testing. I think it's Rumble. Yeah, Rumble is now beta testing active live streaming through their platform. And if that happens, that'll be a big deal. If Rumble gets live streaming up and going, I'll just stop messing with Daily Motion, because Daily Motion, while it doesn't have restrictions on free speech the way that YouTube and Facebook do, Daily Motion does have some hurdles that you have to jump through to get to live streaming there, which I've filed the paperwork for it, and they're just slow to respond. But also, they're restrictive on the length of videos that you can upload. So like if we go over about a half hour on this show, I can't put it up on BitChute. I'm sorry, not BitChute, Daily Motion. Everything goes on BitChute. So I say all that, and then let me say this also. Donald Trump's not the president anymore. And one of the things that we've seen as a result of that is the media just doesn't know what to do with themselves. It's been a slow news week, largely because the news reporters don't want to report the news. Now, there is news out there, and I can do research and find the other news that we can talk about, and that's great, and we will be doing that some.
Yeah, our buddies at Polytech did a really good treatment of the George Floyd $27 million settlement last night. Like, there's news. It exists. It's just the cartel media has no clue what to do now that they can't just orange man bad forever and ever. Yeah. So, but that said, we're going to see we're going to see more and more slow news weeks because news is going to be repressed. Frankly, Joe Biden's going to screw up a lot, and while he keeps screwing up, they're going to keep running cover for him, which means we're going to need other stuff to talk about on this show. And I want to get the hell away from
from politics on a certain level anyway. So you guys seem to have real interest in talking about the space elevator stuff. I would love to talk about that. We could do a show talking about that. Danny's with us. Good morning, Danny. Good to see you. And we have Callie Unknown has joined us also. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us this morning. But let me know in the comments and let me know in the chat and leave me a comment on the video as well if you could. What kind of stuff do you want to hear us talk about more? I would like to get the boys together and go shoot watermelons and just do a show where we talk about putting bullets in watermelons with beards on them. Can we wrap them up in
towels and put fake beards on them?
Yep. Sergeant Major wants to see us fishing with celebrities, and in all fairness, what Sergeant Major wants to see is he wants to see him with us fishing with celebrities, and holy shit, am I all in for that. Sometime next week, Dad and I are going to be shooting the kind of a pilot/tech test episode to kick off the Fishing with Interesting People show, and I need to start booking guests for that. So, I have access to some very interesting guests to book for that show. I can't wait to get that going, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So tech radar stuff. I mean, hell, there's an article. It'll be hard to find, but I'll try. There's an article that I read in one of the science magazine. In fact, I think it was actually in Science, or Tech Radar or something like that, before I joined the Army. So we're talking almost 20 years ago. That said, if you can survive for the next 30 years, then you can expect to live until you're 150. Based on, it was an article about kind of futurist predictions of the rate of advancement of medical science. And they were making the claim that if 30 years from, we'll just say 2004, it's probably around when I read it, if 30 years after 2004, you're still alive, you can expect to tack on another 30 or 40 years to your previous life expectancy, if not more. And their prediction then was that the average life expectancy of an American in, say, 2034 would be something like 130 to 150 years. So we definitely do a show on that. I would love to get to start doing more stuff like that. And like I said, we're doing big moves with not with Polytech. I love you guys, Polytech, and hopefully I'll get Alex involved in some of these shenanigans too. But no, with Scotty and them over at Just for Fun. This Saturday evening, I should be live streaming from a wrestling event with DJ Scotty from Just for Fun, and so I'll be pumping it out of my new good camera to all of Brushfire Minds media platforms and all of Just for Fun's media platforms. And Saturday morning, I'll be going to the Rockdale County GOP. It's the party caucuses where they elect the party officers. Last night, go ahead.
Hey, buddy, I know we're coming up on the end, and Alex has asked a question that I actually think deserves an answer. But will the elite people give access? I assume he's referring to the life extension technology. Yeah, they'll totally give us access to it because they'll raise the retirement age from 65 to 90, and they'll put us in debt to pay for the. We get to be their slaves for an extra 25 years.
They'll they'll totally extend our lives because then they can abolish Social Security without paying back the IOUs that they wrote us. So, what was I about? So last night I went to the Madison, Georgia GOP meeting, and Chairman Schaefer spoke last night, and I got to tell you, he did a good job. He's he knew his numbers. He brought receipts. He was smart on what he was talking about, and I did not upload that video to YouTube. That video is on Rumble right now. It's on Rumble exclusively. I went ahead and set up syndication with Rumble, so hopefully that one will get to make some money as news interest stuff. But you can go watch that, and I won't talk here because we've already got a warning. Sons of bitches. But I won't talk here about what we discussed last night, but y'all can go over to Rumble and find the Brushfire Mind and watch that video. It's about an hour long. It's a party official addressing the party. And if you want to hear my contribution, you just go to the end. About the last 10 minutes of it, you'll hear me ask a question, and it's entertaining because other people asked questions, and you would see some heads nod, and you'd hear a little murmur, oh, yeah. And then at the end, I asked my question, and my question was interrupted by a standing ovation. And then the chairman came back, and he came back forcefully, he came back strong, and his answer was, I agree with your criticism, and here's what I want to do about it. But again, YouTube rules, I can't go into what we actually discussed. You'll have to go over to Rumble and check it out there. Or look for it to pop up on your local news stations when Rumble gets it syndicated so that I can get a paycheck out of them.
That would be sweet.
Wouldn't it, though? Hey, that's why I bought the new camera.
Yep.
Fuck around, tag a brand, and get a paycheck. Let's do this. So
yeah.
And I'll be updating you guys here. We'll do this at the end of the show, sometimes at the beginning of the show, do a little housekeeping. I'll be updating you on where you can expect to find us, and I'll be posting updates about places that we will be live doing events and whatnot throughout the summer. I'll be putting that. Yes, Alex, it's the frogs. There are no consequences for the frogs.
Especially frogs that have erections.
Yes, those evil blue pill frogs. And so yeah, I'll be posting in the BFM fan club on Facebook and on the page, and I'll try to put something. Hey, Patricia's with us. Good morning, Ma. So that's one of my other mothers. Thanks for joining us, but you're late. Hope you had a good run this morning. And the frogs are. Y'all are gonna get me Alex Jones, which should be understood to be Epsteined, virtually. Oh, and Sergeant Major mentions Uncle George's frog, but Dad, pornography is explicitly disallowed by YouTube algorithms. So, and Cameron, our comment section has become too amusing. I can no longer continue. I will have to bid you all a good day. Thank you so much for watching. Look for me tomorrow as well. I'll be doing tech tests with different live stream remote setup configurations. So I'll just be popping up and down all day with Zaluska the Slav just to test technology. I won't be really doing we're doing a show tomorrow morning, but just throughout the day I'll be up and down. And thanks for watching. We will see y'all tomorrow. Love you.